Hey, it's your boy. No, I'm gonna say that one. It's the skinny peepee. Uh, yeah, I'm doing another one of these. I lost train of track, sorry. It's just that I recorded this before, and then when I finished, well, I don't know, recorded for like 2 minutes. But when I finished, I decided to check if my microphone was on. It wasn't on! So I've been talking to myself for a long fucking time, and none of it was recorded. Yay! Luckily, it was only 2 minutes. That said, let's rewind, and let's enjoy this. Like I said before, which you didn't hear because my microphone was muted, bleh, dumb of me. Anywho, I want to see a video of Unhinged Knight. Yes, the man, the myth, the legend, the one providing with all the gooning material that we need, and the wisdom to acquire it. Making us all feel educated about stuff that we shouldn't goon about. I was gonna do a reaction of the other video that he did, of the Dark Elves, but I saw that he just posted this new one about witches, and I was like, oh yeah, right down my alley. Let's go. Let's fucking go.
Alright, today we're talking about witches. Or at least we'll start talking about witches as soon as Black Voice starts looking at this scene from Soul Eater of Medusa stepping on this frog witch. Voice, we talked about this. Knight, I assure you, Medusa seductively stepping on this frog witch is a central, important part of the plot. No, it isn't.
That is not seductive in the slightest, just
saying.
saying.
This time, Knight, because little do you know, I've cursed you. Oh
That was
yeah?
funny.
Really, you cursed me. That's right, just like the witches do. What do you mean like the witches do? You're a guy, you can't curse me like a witch. Wrong, fool! Because a witch can be either male or female, and the male version of a witch is a warlock.
Yeah.
And I made this doll in a spitting image of you, so now I can kill you whenever I want.
That's
and now
voodoo.
you so-called curse me? Yep. Well, okay, warlock, I see your game. Undo the curse, I'm gonna shoot you. Never! No balls. You won't shoot. He shot me. Yep. But don't worry though, just use your little fruity warlock.
This right here. This right here. I had an important question when I was recording, and sadly nobody heard me, so I gotta do it again. Listen here, brothers and sisters. Is it wrong to goon for a doll like Ronnie? Because technically speaking, it's a soul trapped inside of a doll's body. But look at that cake. Is it wrong though? Also, she has 4 arms. You know what that means. 4 possibilities.
Block magic to heal yourself. You'll be fine.
Creepy
I was
laugh.
joking about that. Well, it wasn't funny. I can't feel my face. Well, that's because there's a hole in it. Alright, to understand if it is wise to smash a witch, first we must understand what a witch even is. And believe it or not, I found many different definitions. But I'm going to try to keep it simple. And to put it as simply as possible, a witch is technically anyone engaging in witchcraft.
It's a new game.
Witchcraft is a term usually applied to harm
Of Elden
brought
Ring.
upon others
Nightwing
through the
or
use
whatever
of
the fuck it's
supernatural
called.
or occult powers. Or in normal words, is meant to harm others, because it's... Now, the act of witchcraft may include cursing, hexing, bewitchment, and maleficium. And that last word basically means harmful sorcery or misdeeds. Witches were also known to call upon spirits to call for help or to bring about change. And most witches in the past were thought to be pagans, doing the devil's work.
Okay, I can answer that one. Technically speaking, the devil's work was a concept adopted by Christianity. Basically, Christianity was the one that developed the whole pagan thing, mythology. Think of it this way. Anything that was mythological, anything that was related to another religion, was considered pagan to the Christians back in the day. So if you had, say, Celtic folklore, it was considered pagan. If you had the Viking folklore, it was considered pagan as well. There are some theories that say that Loki might have been a Christian made-up term. Basically, Loki didn't exist or some sort of... I watched a video a long time ago about it. I can't remember the full thing about it. But the idea was that Loki might have been a construct of Christianity when Christianity arrived to the Nordic countries, to Norway and all that, and Scandinavia basically in general. And the idea was that when they arrived there, they created Loki in order to be the representation of the Nordic myth of the devil, basically the trickster. That was the idea, because in Christian belief, the devil is a trickster. He doesn't just tempt you, like Loki does. He also pulls strings and manipulates and tricks people into doing stuff. So that was the concept behind Loki. Because when you see other passages of the Nordic myth, Loki is nowhere to be mentioned. It's a weird concept. There's a lot of mixed stuff into it. I don't know personally which one is right and which one is wrong, but it wouldn't be the first time the church pulls a stunt like that. They've been doing it for centuries, hoarding knowledge and burning books, which possessed knowledge, by the way, but since it contradicted their doctrine, their beliefs, they were considered to be heretics and stuff like that. It's kind of like when Galileo proposed, I think it was Galileo actually, when they proposed that the Earth spun around the sun, and the church didn't like that because, you're questioning their wisdom, their own knowledge about the Lord and the God and the world and all that. So it was the same concept with witches. Witches basically existed for centuries, way before Christianity. They were basically wizards and warlocks and whatnot. They were used as healers and other stuff like that. But Christianity just basically started using the term pagan to basically diss them out. To make people believe that they're super evil and things like that, when sometimes they would just actually help people. But like the saying goes, no lunch is free, so usually there was a price to pay. Think of it like the Little Mermaid. I will give you legs, but you gotta give me the voice. You know? Basically, same concept.
I always knew Tom was sus. But anyway, does it mean they're all like this? Is witch coochie just cursed coochie? Better question, does cursed coochie feel any different than regular coochie? What kind of question is that?
That is actually a deep question. Does it feel any different? Can she alter the coochie? She is a wizard. Can she do that? Can the coochie feel different?
I don't know, I thought it was good. No, that depends completely on the witch in question. Okay, then what about Circe from Greek mythology? Well, Circe can be called a goddess, a witch, and a sorceress. And a sorceress and a witch can be the same thing, but it can differ in some...
Oh yeah, this thing that he's saying in the subtitles. They don't have to be ugly, satanic, or evil. Yeah, that's an actual truth. Like, I forgot to mention that as well. Basically, witches weren't always evil, like I said before. And they weren't ugly either. For example, in the Greek myth, you have Medea and Circe, which was her aunt, if I'm not mistaken. And they weren't ugly. They are actually described in the Greek myth as being beautiful women. But they were powerful sorceresses, powerful witches, so... and this was before Christianity was a thing, believe it or not. Christianity is actually a very recent concept. It's not as old as we think it is. It's just that we cannot grasp the time... the passage of time in a scale, so we don't exactly know how to discern when this happened in this time period, this happened in that time period. So, for example, Jack the Ripper. He existed around the same amount of time as Gandhi was studying to be a lawyer in London. So, technically speaking, Gandhi could have met Jack the Ripper and never know about it. But people cannot make this perception of time. They can't conceive that. They can't conceive that shit, so... just a little heads up. It's part of the reason why we also cannot perceive how old the Earth is. Like, sure, we can throw not a random number, an estimate of the amount of time. We can know, it's gazillion billion years old, but we cannot grasp that concept. For example, if I say 1,000 years old, can any of us actually grasp how long that was ago? We don't. We think we know, but we cannot imagine how long that is. It's the same concept with this stuff.
Works of fiction, like in Marvel Comics, for instance. Either way, Circe was pretty hot, but she was considered a dreadful goddess by Homer. But maybe because she used drugs and incantation to turn humans into wolves, lions, and even swans.
Yep.
But she was still bad though, right? Oh, hell yeah. She was just...
I think it was Odysseus, when he met her, he actually didn't realize that he was eating one of his crew members because it was a pig. Kind of fucked up when you think about it. And Circe actually fell in love by Odysseus. Odysseus just didn't want anything to do with her. She was like, no, bitch, get off. I just want to get home. Like, the Trojan War is over. I just want to get home. And Circe was like, nah, but stay with me. Come on, look. Isn't the island beautiful? Look at all the wolves and the pigs and all that shit. And he's like, those are my crew members. Turn them back. It's fucked up. You should read it. It's wonderful. The Odyssey is one heck of a book.
Described as beautiful and sometimes with fiery hair and flashing golden eyes. And there couldn't have been really any bad consequences to sleeping with Circe because Odysseus spent a whole year with her, enjoying her, quote-unquote, hospitality.
Yep.
Giggity. I mean, we all know what he was doing. And you ain't spending a year enjoying a woman's hospitality unless you're really enjoying it. But we have to remind ourselves, Cersei was a goddess, who was also technically a witch and a sorceress. So she's literally the best case scenario, or one of the best case scenarios. And I mean, you have witches like Cersei.
I mean, best case scenario, depending on the type of dude you are. If you pique her interest, yeah, absolutely. Cersei is not a problem. If you're a regular Joe like me or you, you're fucked. We're gonna be turned into pigs or wolves or something of the sort. Or maybe I'm gonna be turned into the wolf and you the pig, and you know what's that gonna happen. I gotta eat. Wolf's gotta hunt.
Who is also a goddess. But then on the other hand, you have witches like Baba Yaga. Well, how bad could she be?
Oh, yikes.
Bro, I lost 5 sperm cells by just staring at that image. Do you know how ugly you have to be to kill sperm cells on sight? Well, apparently this ugly. What the fuck? Well, there goes 5 more.
Jesus fucking Christ, Knight. Don't show me that.
Why'd you have to ask that? How bad could she be? That's like asking,
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
it's Baba Yaga. Everything about her is cursed.
Yeah.
In most works of literature, she's described as being very ugly. Plus, she eats children. You
Yeah.
gotta say more? But Knight, what she has like a hot, sexy form? Black,
No, she doesn't.
Are you high right now? High on life? Fuck yeah! You're still being weird though, calm that down. Anyway, what we're trying to say is, being a witch, at least in folklore, does not mean you're evil. At least not.
Just saying, but the name Baba Yaga literally means old hag in English, so it's not gonna be pretty. You're not gonna meet the hot Baba Yaga. Just saying. I'm just saying. Baba means old, so it's always gonna be a hag.
Completely. A more broader definition I found for the term witchcraft describes a range of ritual practices intended to manipulate occult, spiritual, or supernatural powers regardless of intent. This definition describes witchcraft as being able to be used to harm or to heal. Now I looked into this even further to figure out what this exactly meant, and apparently witches in the past could also be called wise women or cunning folk, and this could include men and women. These people were herbal folk, healers whose knowledge was passed down through generations or learned through exploration of a nearby field.
Kind of like druids. I think druids can also be considered to be warlocks in a way.
Or forest. Now many of these so-called healers were illiterate, and so they came up with rhymes and songs to remember their concoctions. Now this act was thought to inspire the witches' spells, like the ones found in literature and myths. And just to sum it up for you, it's very possible they were just misunderstood. In fact, if anything went wrong with their treatments, or even if sometimes things went well with their treatments, these healers could be accused of witchcraft. And we all know what happens at the end viewer. Hell yeah, turn up. Fun time for the 100th time. Hell yeah. No, you fool. It's the Salem witch trials. Oh. Now, I don't need to explain to you what happened during the Salem witch trials, but just to make it very clear for those who may not know, I'm going to say this in the most blunt and ghettoest way possible. Mother tripping. A married woman stares at a man who isn't her husband? Witch! Burner! That's what they be like. Oh, don't let a woman cook some bad chicken. This chicken is cold! They would literally tie a woman up and throw her into a body of water. And if she sank, she'd be considered innocent. But if she floated, she'd be considered a witch. So basically, either way.
Oh, it's the Monty Python joke about the duck. And where do they go? Oh, hello, kitty. Hello. Hello. But yeah, they make a reference to that in Monty Python, where they make the joke about the if she is lighter than a duck, then that means she's a witch or something of the sort. Monty Python. Whenever I need a good giggle, I go see Biggest Dickus. Cute kitty. Hold up a moment. Kitty. No. That will open the door to the cat. Ah. You know how it is. The pussy calls and you answer. I meant the cat. But English is weird. Why do you guys have pussy for the cat when pussy is also something else? English is weird.
Way the woman was screwed. And get this, these people were called Puritans. And from what I read, they were English Protestants. And I'll just say it plainly so anyone can understand me. They were Christians! Imagine being a Christian and drawing what you think is a witch into the water, and she ends up drowning, therefore proving her innocence. My brothers, I can only imagine that conversation with God in church. Like, Lord, I drowned an innocent woman this week because I thought she was a witch. But God, you gotta understand that chicken was cold. And God's like, how cold? And you're like, too damn cold. And God's like, damn, tragic. Tragic! Oh well, at least she wasn't a witch. You're forgiven. Now I'm joking, but you cannot tell me some of these English Protestants were not morally conflicted by this.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll get to the point. Mostly in fiction.
Honestly, probably not. You would be surprised by the amount of people who have zero morals whatsoever and they use religion to be the backbone of their morals. If their religion dictates that this is perfectly fine and acceptable and shit happens, they'll accept it. Humans adapt.
Or which is really seen as purely evil, or more or less dramatically evil. Now, there have been cases in reality where people may have tried to curse others, and some of these same people may consider themselves witches. But that doesn't mean that everyone who considers themselves a witch has tried to curse somebody. In fact, there are witches called contemporary witches, which are also called Wiccans, that don't even practice Satanism, and have denounced the practice of malevolent magic. Now, I think you guys get my obvious point.
Didn't
The
know that.
so-called witches casting spells, summoning ghosts and demons, pulling out Ouija boards and using charms, and trying to curse people, then you need to stay away from her. And yes, if I didn't make myself clear before, there are people in the world who consider themselves witches and do certain types of stuff like this, like witchcraft. And I'm not saying they're all evil or worshiping Satan. They can all be very different, especially if they're specifically a Wiccan. Wiccans are inspired by pre-Christian religions of Europe. So like I said before, they don't practice Satanism. So they're somewhat
Wait, so they still exist? Huh, that's cool.
cool, unless you're like an actual Christian. But if you're not, Wiccan smash. But for those other witches, hell no. You can't be summoning ghosts and talking to Satan. That's creepy. I don't care how hot she is. It doesn't matter. I've seen the movie Get Out, and trust me, I never went in. I ain't falling for the movies. And even if you think I'm exaggerating, listen to this. There's a reoccurring idea throughout many parts of the world, including Polynesia, Melanesia, and South Asia, and Africa, and North America. And the idea is that witches can cause a person harm by gaining access to their nail clippings, hair, or bodily waste. They can try to curse you for
So, basically voodoo.
taking these certain things from your own body. Now, if you don't believe in witchcraft, that's fine. I'm not telling you to believe in it. All I'm saying is, don't get caught lacking. Because even if you don't believe in it, there are people in the world who do believe in witches and witchcraft and Satanism, all that other mumbo jumbo, and take it very seriously. So if she start casting spells, you cast her out on the street with the demons. I ain't trying to get cursed, and there are other women out there. Now, as far as witches in fiction, they can get a little bit tricky. Because, of course, ones like Baba Yaga and the Blair
Ew.
Witch are definite pass completely. There are ones like Sorceress Selene from Elden Ring in
Hello
fiction,
there.
who's also called the Graven Witch, who could possibly be a definite smash. So let's look into her lore and find out. Voice, you're up! Alright, like Knight said, Sorceress Selene is called the Graven Witch. In Elden Ring, the title witch seems to be an expression of those who master and practice sorceries, often associated with the occult and dark magic.
I
And
see.
characters like Ronnie and Selene are considered witches due to their abilities and sorceries, but also it may be due to their crimes. But before we get to Sorceress Selene's crimes, it's important to note that she doesn't seem to mind you in the game when you first meet her. And if you do everything right in her questline, she'll even eventually take you as a student. She'll teach you sorceries and have you going on quests to different locations on the map. My basic point is she doesn't necessarily come off as hostile towards you, not at all really. But it
I
is
see.
important to note two things. When you first meet her, she's a projection, so she's not really there.
Aw.
And second, she has an obsession with restoring the primeval current to the glintstone sorcery, which is exactly one of the reasons why she's called the Graven Witch in the first place. Now in her questline, she'll eventually send you to find her real body, and it's going to be in the Witchbane ruins in the Weeping Peninsula. When you find her, she'll basically let you rip out some of her soul, which is called Selene's Primal Glintstone. She actually screams in pain a little bit during this part, so yeah,
Ouch.
low key, that was her soul. Now, pay attention, this is the important part. You'll eventually be able to take her soul and put it in a doll-like version of her in the story, or at least you can do this after her main body is killed by
So, we're basically pulling a Hani.
like Jaren. He's called Jaren the Castellan of Redmane Castle. And after you take Sorceress Selene's soul, he's gonna come and kill Sorceress Selene's real body for a crime that she did in the past. Now the main question you may be asking is, what did she do that was so bad? Well, Jaren explains it very clearly.
She was known as the Graven Witch. Obsessed by the primeval current, countless sorcerers fell to her hand. The most dangerous mage in the entire history of Real Akaria's academy.
So, she
Yeah,
killed
so just to
people.
simplify that, she's a mass murderer. It's always the hot ones who wear no shoes who want to commit mass murder. Tragic. Now, theoretically speaking, the Tarnish could smash her in her doll-like state, but if you continue her quest line, that state isn't going to last for very long. Yeah, spoiler alert, she's in her 30s. She's old now. She looks like this. That's gonna be a
Ew!
pass for me. I don't play with balls. Moving on, next one up. Vanessa Inotica from Black Clover and her mom, the Queen of Witches. Now, Vanessa gets an immediate smash because she's like 25 in the story, and her
Oh.
character can best be described as just a lazy drunk. She has bad breath, but she's hot. And a little bit of
Damn.
Listerine will go a long way. She has dread magic, which is only a pro in my eyes. Her magic even comes with a cute little cat. My brother. I know what you're doing over there. Kitty. However, viewer, Vanessa has one con. She is from the Witch's Forest. Now, what's in the Witch's Forest? Other witches, and they're surprisingly cool. Her mom is also there, and she rules over all them witches. And she's legitimately Merman Man approved.
What?
When she found out what kind of magic her daughter has, which is, dread magic, which is also the ability to alter fates, plus other things, she immediately locked her own daughter up in a cage. And she apparently did this because she wanted Vanessa to hone her dread magic to the point where she could alter fate. She believed locking her own daughter up would be the best way to achieve this. Yeah, so obviously something isn't clicking with her head because she doesn't seem to realize that Vanessa at this point in the story is a child. This woman crazy. Oh, and it gets better. She apparently hates all men, but apparently not enough not to have a kid by them. And I know you could easily say in the story that Vanessa was made by some magical bullcrap, but that I say that's stupid. Why would you use magic to create a baby when it's much more fun to do it the natural way in the first place? She can try to be as feminist-like as she wants to be. She may hate most men, but apparently there's one or two out there who she likes a lot. You gotta wonder who looked this cold, expressionless woman in the face and said, would.
He's not wrong. I was about to say, I mean, who would bang that? But then again, I mean...
One about her old-fashioned looks. Someday in the past, she made someone's day. Now, other than her hatred for men, she also hates imperfection. She's obviously very cruel. She manipulates people with her fortune-telling ability, and she's willing to enslave others. So, yeah.
She's not a good
Racist,
girl.
A witch, and a feminist. Her Poom Poom must have spiderwebs in it by now. Now, obviously, her mom was a past, but whoever the man was who cracked that in the past, man must be a true legend.
Damn.
Going on from the manga and the game, Dragon's Crown, the sorceress.
Damn, look at those ties.
Sorceress is apparently her name. They don't have names in this series. It's okay though. They have something else. A lot of something else.
Damn.
Oh my God. Now the sorceress can be described as a bewitching woman with the knowledge of dark magic, but she wields a great amount of knowledge for the arcane arts.
She's definitely bewitching me. I can't take my eyes off of those.
Create delicious food, so AKA she can cook, she can control skeletons, and that's cool too. They can watch, and she can turn foes into harmless frogs. Oh, this woman can make some frog legs. She's cute. Now, just to be clear, she has literally no cons, and I mean she knows dark magic and witchcraft, but in her arsenal of attacks, she also has something called the hip attack. Now, I couldn't find an example of it, but apparently this woman's hips are so thick that she can send enemies flying with one hip attack.
Damn.
And I mean, look at her. I believe it. She has like no other physical skills, but that's really all she needs. Girl runs holding on to her hat, but I know her back hurting. Now, I know she seems over-sexualized in the game, but trust me, if you think she's over-sexualized, you haven't seen the men. What the fuck? I've never seen a character who has about more muscle than Brawley, unless it's a Hulk or Escanor. Okay, apparently a lot of men in fiction are sexualized just like this, but apparently no one complains about it. Surprise, surprise.
He reminds me of Conan the Barbarian.
Either way, Sorceress is probably the best one on this list. Now, there are plenty of other witches to talk about, but they're gonna have a hard time beating this one. And I mean, seriously, just a quick Rule 34 search of her, and you'll see all you need to know about this character. And I was gonna talk about Medusa Gorgon.
What's the name again, so that I can do that research later and confirm? What's the name again? Kumiko. Okay, I'm definitely searching that later.
See all you need to know about this character. And I was gonna talk about Medusa Gorgon from Soul Eater, but Knight says I need a timeout because I'm obsessed with feet. Why can't you just let me be who I am? Who you are is a degenerate pervert cat. Well, can't argue with that logic. Leave in the comments what you think, and let us know who you want us to talk about in the second part of this video, which we will make eventually. It's coming. We'll eventually make part 2s and part 3s to all our videos. So leave in the comments what you think, and who you like on this list. And you guys have a great day. Bye.
You too. Thanks for the video, man. It's fun. I'm definitely searching this witch later. Oh man, I still have 2 other videos to see. I'll see it some other time. I'll save these other 2 for next time. It's from Fleekazoid, and I do enjoy Fleekazoid a lot because it makes me laugh. So I'll watch those some other time. I'll do another video for that. Anywho, thanks for watching, and bye-bye.